welcome. I'm Kathleen Zemansky, and this is Illuminating Feng Shui. Today I'm going to do a little bit of a different format than I normally do. I'm going to talk about the upcoming Fire Rooster year, and the reason that I'm doing it now at the beginning of January versus the beginning of the Chinese New Year is we have about a month to prepare and get our spaces ready, get ourselves ready, but the information is going to be good all year long, but it's just a little bit of a jump start on the year. And today I have with me my MC that I'm going to have at my annual event, who is here to just kind of, let's, have a conversation about what's going on. His name is Mark Buechel. He is the regional sales manager with Comcast Business. More importantly, Mark is a very good friend of mine. I've known him for 5 years. We also attend some of the same business circles. And so I'm very excited to have him on the show. So welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. I'm very excited to be here myself.
Good. So not to veer too much away from my show format, what I'd like to do with all my guests is to ask them what they know about astrology or feng shui or auspicious timing or any or all of them. What's your experience?
Well, Kathleen, my experience is much like many people's experience when it comes to astrology. It's the menu in a Chinese restaurant. Mm-hmm. But what I always saw when I'd go through the different animals in the Chinese restaurant, the menu, I go, that's definitely not me. That's definitely not me. That is eerily a lot like me. So that was my first parlay into astrology. But I'm a Time Blazer user, and as a sales manager I work with a team of guys and we're very aggressive in our sales, so I would use the Time Blazer to help people when they should have meetings with their employees or have meetings with when they're going to sign contracts. And this year, Kathleen, every one of my employees, and I attribute it to the Time Blazer, made more money this year than they've ever made in their lives in sales. So I'm a big believer, and I'm looking forward to 2017 and getting the 2017 Time Blazer so I, again, can help my team be effective this year in sales.
Awesome. Well, the Time Blazer, by the way, is my proprietary calendar. It's based on the Chinese calendar, and the Chinese calendar was used by the ancient sages, imperial families, the affluent, and it's still used today for major business decisions, and even personal ones like getting married and moving into a new space. You would do that for business or for your home, but it is used based on your astrology and how you match up a very good day to yourself. So just a brief explanation of what the Time Blazer is. And yes, the 2017 is out and ready to go. So, okay, well, like I said, today I'm going to give a brief overview of the upcoming annual talk that I give every January. So around February 3rd or 4th of each year, there's a big shift in the energies. And this is important to know because as a feng shui master, I help my clients prepare themselves and their spaces to optimize their personal and professional lives. And I do it for myself as well. It's very important that, my feng shui is up to date. I know what's going on in my chart so I can best serve, my community, if you will. So, time goes by very, very quickly. I mean, can we even believe it that, a year ago it was like the beginning of the year? And so, one of the things that we have the opportunity to do is that we are, as I said at the opening of the show, we're just shy of a month of beginning the Fire Rooster. So it is an opportunity to kind of tie up loose ends, get our spaces, get ourselves prepared, and to have a favorable year. So what I'm going to do today is briefly, the seminar that we're having, it's going to be on January the 14th. It's a full day event. So obviously I can't cram in 8 hours of information, but I can do our best to get in like 45, 50 minutes. But we're going to do a recap of the 12 animals. We're going to talk about the yin and yang of the 5 elements today, of how those are going to be affected. And then Mark has agreed to have us look at his astrology chart as a sample so that we can get a real life situation of like what the talk is going to be about and how he can prepare to have a good year. Now, I just want everyone to keep in mind that no one's chart is going to be perfect. I myself have some animals in my chart that aren't as favorable as everyone would hope them to be, but I've got some really great ones that I know I'm going to focus on more than the negative ones. So what I would highly recommend our listeners doing right now, if you want to follow along with this information, is go grab your free astrology chart, and you can get that at www.freebusinessastrology.com. Go ahead and fill out your information and you can get your report right away, and then we're gonna go over some of that information for you to follow along. So it may be a bit more complicated, but I'm going to go into the new directions, the feng shui directions. Those shift every year as well. So I want you to start wrapping your head around, how to best use them. And, also very important is the directions you want to avoid, because they're not all great. And so that's the thing that, what decisions do you need to make now? Like if you're going to be moving your office, like for right now, I'm in a direction that has been favorable for me for a couple of years, and I have to actually move out of this beautiful office, Mark.
Really?
Yeah. So I have to do a different setup in a month's time, and I have to start strategizing. I need to get movers and, changing all my internet around and all that kind of stuff to get prepared for that. And I would be doing that, obviously, on a very auspicious day, a little bit beyond the scope of what we can talk about today. But anyway, so we're going to talk about that as well. At my event, I'm going to be also giving away some auspicious timing tips, how to do a feng shui activation and all that kind of stuff. Again, that goes a little bit beyond the scope of what I can do on radio. So that's something that we're going to have to reserve for the event. So we'll give you some information on how to get that, those links on how to get that information if you'd be interested. Do you have something to say, Mark?
Yes, Kathleen, I went on and I pulled off my chart last night. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
I have to tell you, was real easy to do.
Yeah.
And the information, I'm so excited to learn so much. We spoke a little bit before our show. Wow.
Yeah. What was your wow?
I mean, there's so many different things and how to tie things together. And I think we'll get more into this as we go along.
Yeah.
But I do recommend, if you're out there and you have the chance to pull up this chart, to go along with this chart as we go through our discussion.
Yeah.
So excited to learn more about me.
Well, and that's really what this is all about, is you and your space. So no matter who's listening, it's really about them and their space. And so let's see how we can help them out today.
Very excited. Let's get started.
Yeah. So let's see. I just want to make sure I stay in tune with my engineer, Matt, here. Okay. All right. So, in astrology and classical feng shui, which is what I talk about, I want to make that very clear. Classical feng shui, we have baseline and long-term considerations, and this would be for your long-term planning. Now, for quick and dynamic results, I use for my clients and myself the annual energy. So we're going to be talking about that fire rooster, and the reason, again, is because we want, as you said, I want to know about me. I want to know what I can do now. And so, there is that long-term planning, which is very important, but how we can get your quick results, like I need cash flow. Use your annual. I need to get new clients. Go to your annual. I want to fix a relationship. Go to your annual. And then the long-term things will keep things and the vibrancy going, but that is not what we're going to be talking about today. We're talking about how we get that instant gratification. This is what the annual things are about. So, all right. So I need to give a little bit of background about the year itself. It's going to be a yin fire. It's going to be yin fire rooster year. So the yin fire, it's going to be more like a candlelight. So that's about charisma, enlightenment. And this is like a beautiful glowing fire. So it can also be quite destructive. So that candlelight can, fall over and burn down a house or burn down a whole mountainside and can be very explosive. So it can be both sides of, it's not always the good, but it can be, we also have to look at, you know, the other possibilities as well. So the rooster now is an animal. When you see this animal in nature, it's a very majestic animal. It's very proud, if you will, strutting his stuff. But he loves to be surrounded and admired by all of his hens, or his audience, if you're talking about the business, all of the people that, you know, your followers, if you will. Now, this is all good when he is the sole person on stage, if you will, or in the chicken coop, if you will. Feathers can get rustled when we bring in another rooster and we have some confrontations there, and there could even be a fight to the death. So this very competitive that can happen there. So we might see a little bit of drama next year as well. So this is going to show up in some world events, and so it could be some very enlightening, shining things, but we could also have some explosive things as well. So I want you to, when you're looking at your chart, here's a couple of things that I want you to think about right from the very beginning.
Okay.
When you look at your year birth, it's going to be about your social circles. So that's your friends. It's going to be about your branding, your marketing. And so those are the things that the year pillar will indicate for you. If it's the month, it's going to be about your career, your character, and your ambitions. The day is going to be about you and your partnerships. And the hour is going to be about your life purpose. It's also going to be about your income, if you will. And so those are the couple of things from a business perspective. It has so many different layers from personal aspects as well, but that we're going to leave it at that. So if you have metal, now if you've downloaded my chart, it's color-coded of the 5 elements. So it also will say, you know, yang metal or yin wood or something like that. So you really want to look at those. So I'm going to quickly go through what the elements are going to be for 2017 as favorable. So the number 1 element in 2017 is metal. Now, unless you live on the West Coast, for example, California, up into the western part of Mexico, Canada, it's not that favorable for us. It's not gonna, really harm us, but we just don't have access to it as much. There's a reason behind that. I'll go more deep into that into my annual talk. So, but if you live in other parts of the world, metal, number 1. Number 2 is going to be water. So anyone who has water in their chart, this is going to be great for wisdom, communication. Look for opportunities. If you have water in your chart, go after opportunities and be on the outlook for them. The 3rd most favorable is going to be fire. That's the happiness element. So if you've got fire in your chart, that's going to be wonderful, and also great for anything to do with IT, anything to do with technologies. Got fire in your chart, get on social media. For example, number 4 is going to be wood. That's about your connections, creativity, networking. You need wood in your chart to have cash flow. So that's something you want to have. Now, the one that's not going to be favorable pretty much at all is going to be earth. So if you have earth, I rarely do I see a chart where people have only earth in their chart, but if you do, it's not going to be as favorable for you this year. And by the way, we might see some real estate dropping. We're already actually seeing this, and interest rates are rising, so we're going to see a little bit of slug, if you will, in the real estate sector, and that's what earth is. So that's an element that's not that favorable. So anyway, so Mark, we're going to get into your chart in just a little bit, but I can see in your chart, in your year of birth, you are a yin water rabbit, and so we're going to talk about the animals after, but your yin water is one of the most favorable in your chart. So I want you to look, and this is in your social circles and your branding, look for new opportunities to brand, look for new opportunities to increase and expand your social circles and your networks. This is where I want you to focus on mostly, and in your month of birth, you have yin wood, so we see some cash flow coming. You do have yang metal you have some metal in your other 2, so it's not going to be as beneficial, but so we're going to focus on what we can do, not what we can't. Stay tuned for more on illuminating feng shui, and when we come back, I'll continue the conversation with my MC, Mark Buchel, and about the shifting energies of the fire rooster.